Hey there, welcome back to An Introvert's Paradise. I'm Kendrick Kaiju, and today we're having a look at the foreseeable future of inZoi. Now, I'll be honest, I completely missed this the other day, but Kjun put up a new post, a new brainstorm with Kjun on Discord, and this one's called At Your Own Pace. And it starts off with Kjun literally saying, for the foreseeable future, our updates for inZoi will mainly focus on enhancing existing features to deepen the overall experience, rather than adding more new features. And the first thing that popped into my mind was, are they pushing back the roadmap? Because that's what it sounds like, right? Because there's lots of hot fixes and patches, but I wouldn't consider any of those updates. I don't think that's what he's referring to. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's referring to things like the June update and the Chahaya update. Because let's take a look here for a second. Remember, during the initial showcase and the initial roadmap, there was supposed to be an update coming out pretty soon, sometime in October. So to me, that's the foreseeable future that he's talking about. Maybe even into December. And in the hot fixes and the patches, they're not adding anything, they're just tackling bugs, troubleshooting, that type of thing. So I think that's what he means. And if that's the case, that would certainly be very disappointing. Because even though I think Chahaya was great, and I think it took a really big step forward, maybe even a leap forward, we're still not there yet. There's still a lot of key features that are still missing that I would prefer to be in the game sooner rather than later. And if you look at what was coming in October, we have the family tree. That's a major one. To me, at this point, that's the most immediate feature they need to add. Because I think a lot of life sim players, more than me even, enjoy building families, creating families. So it's definitely a glaring omission to not be able to create siblings. And I don't know if this is still true because I haven't tested it in a while, but when the game first came out, I made a family where everybody was at least a young adult. The kids were young adults, the parents were regular adults, and I wanted the parents to live separately from the kids. But once I moved the parents out, everybody forgot that they were in a family. All the ties were removed. I imagine it's still the case in the game, and if it is still the case, they really need to address that sooner rather than later. Because it is immersion breaking, it's not very realistic. I think most people, when they get to a certain point in their life, they move out. I know it's harder than ever, don't get me wrong, but even still, I think most people, especially when they've met the one, when they're in a serious relationship, most of the time they go and get their own place. At the latest, when they get married and have kids of their own, right? But I digress. We're definitely still missing a lot of stuff, so I'm not crazy about this decision. But to be fair, I'm just speculating. I'm just trying to read between the lines here, going by what he's saying, what words are being used, the wording. But there has been no official announcement that they're pushing anything back. In fact, if we're going by the wording, he said inZoi will mainly focus on enhancing the features that they already have. So it does sound like there's room to add new features, it sounds like they're not going to add as many as we'd like. Which again is disappointing, but the reality is what we have now does need some work. Even though I really enjoyed the Chahaya update, I think a lot was added in. But unfortunately, some of the things that were added in didn't have the depth. Like for example, the arcade. It was so cool, it looked so great in previews, but when it came down to it, when it came down to actually going to it and playing, I gotta say, it's not that engaging. I think I've been there one time, and that's it. There isn't a draw to go back. I think adding some more variety would help, but I feel like at the end of the day, that wouldn't be enough to keep people going back. Certainly wouldn't be enough to keep me going back. I think what they would need to do is have a complete fundamental overhaul on how those games work. I think they need to make those mini games where we're involved. Because right now it's basically just an animation. It would be cool, like, for example, basketball. They could definitely just make that skill-based. Just make it like 2K. Just have a shooting bar and you hold the button down until it hits the green zone and then you let go. And if you time it right, the ball goes in. If you don't, it bounces back out. Something like that. Or maybe they do something more challenging, more engaging than that. Maybe they can throw back to the old 2K. I know I use this example for how to make careers better, but I think this is even more on the nose. In those games, you had 2 arrows and you had to bring them together, and it was a pain to bring them together, but if you manage to, then it's a successful free throw. So we could probably use something like that in inZoi. So I think the solution to the arcade is mini games. If they make it fun, oh, even better, if they can give us some unique prizes, if you can win unique prizes, combined with making it more engaging and fun, I'd be there all the time. But as is, I'm certainly not that motivated to go back. And that's just one example. There's definitely a few different things about the Chahaya update where I was like, ooh, that sounded a lot better on paper. It's a good idea, but the execution's lacking a little bit. But I'm not going to be hard on the dev team because they've gotten a lot done in a short amount of time, and on top of that, they did make a very major pivot. At first, they weren't planning on adding a whole bunch of locations for us to go to, but when they found out that's what we wanted, they made the shift, they made the pivot. I mean, the game's only been out like, what, 4 or 5 months at this point. So that pivot point must have only given them a month or two to work on it. I've definitely seen enough hard work from this dev team to give them the benefit of the doubt that with time, what's lacking now will be fleshed out. So again, even though I'm disappointed that they're going to slow down on the new features, it does make a lot of sense that they work on what we already have, because what we already have, some of it, is just not good enough. And now that I think of it, I think it makes absolute sense to make sure that everything you already have is good and fleshed out before you move on to the next thing. Because what's that saying? A mile wide but like an inch deep or something like that? You don't want a game like that. Well, now that I say it out loud, this is clearly the right call. Because when I first read the post, I was definitely a bit annoyed. But now that I think about it, this is the responsible decision to make. This is what's best for the product long term. And the first issue they're going to tackle is the length of the day. They're going to turn the default to 48 minutes, which they couldn't do before, because it seems like they built the game to run with 96 minutes as the default, and they couldn't really get 48 minutes to work. I'm good with 96. I feel like 48 minutes is probably too quick of a day. But again, it's always good to have options. Some people have less time to play than I do. Some people have more, because I totally forget you could play 24 hours. A day can run in real time, 24 hours. I wonder how many people have actually done that. I gotta imagine somebody on Twitch has tried, or at least on YouTube. Some influencer. But that will definitely never be me. I've definitely wasted a lot of time in my life. I gotta draw the line somewhere. And a 24-hour inZoi clock, I think, is the right place to draw the line. Alright, I think that's it for me for today. Thank you for tuning in, and if you watched the whole thing, you're a real champ. And I wanted to take this moment to say thank you to all my subscribers, all my supporters. You guys are awesome. I know I haven't been on lately. It's been a bumpy few weeks. Yeah, I've been working a new job. Really hard work, labor job, which is not the issue. The issue is, let's just say I've not been treated very well there. Really poorly, actually. So my mental health hasn't been amazing. Believe me, I kick myself almost every single day when I don't manage to get a video up. I'm trying to straighten that out. It should be better moving forward. And if you wrote me a nice comment and I didn't respond, believe me, it's nothing personal. I'm just dealing with some stuff, and even though most of the comments I've gotten have been very nice, have been very supportive, and I certainly appreciate all of it, but unfortunately not all of it has been good. Not all of it has been nice. There's been some rude ones, if not straight up nasty. And over the past few weeks, it's been a bumpy ride, as I said. I'm in no headspace to deal with those types of comments. I mean, I suppose it should come as no surprise, considering the fact that this is called an introvert's paradise, that I'm very introverted. I'm not very good with people in general. So I'm definitely not very well equipped to deal with the nasty people. I know that I'm working on it, trying to straighten things out, trying to get my head in the right place, get my head back in the game. I know I shouldn't let it bother me, but that's easier said than done. But regardless, if you've been writing me nice, friendly comments, or even if you don't agree with me, even if you're critical of what I have to say, as long as you're respectful about it, I'm cool with all of that. Just know that if I was in a better headspace, I would definitely be getting back to you. I'm definitely not ignoring you or anything like that. In fact, to my subscribers who regularly write me nice things, know that sometimes I'm thinking of you. Sometimes I'm wondering if you're enjoying the new update as much as I am. But I'm working on it. I certainly need to work on more videos. I've been trying to get around to doing a couple Let's Plays because I have been playing the game and playing the game a lot. I know I was very critical in this video, so I certainly hope I didn't come across as if I'm not having a good time with this game, because I am. I'm having more fun. I'm playing this game way more than I ever have. The Chihaya update was a real game changer. They did a really good job. But there's plenty of work to be done. We're not there yet. And by the devs making this move, shifting their focus on improving on what we already have, I think that's their way of acknowledging exactly that. Alright, now I'm done. Alright, thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Until then, you take care of yourself and just make it through another day.